Hey guys, welcome back to Iron Moose 5-ton. Quick video I want to make today on a Shutterstat. This is an M923A1 and we're having an issue with the Shutterstat on this apparatus. This is a brush truck fire apparatus. So this is your Shutterstat, and essentially what this device does is it has a spring mechanism inside and it actuates, and you have a positive air line coming in. Then you have your other air line on the back side that goes down to your fan clutch. When this reaches, on this one, it's between 180 to 195. I think this one's tagged 195 degrees. It opens. So there's a probe that goes into the coolant block. This is your coolant part here. And when the coolant reaches 195 degrees, the spring mechanism actuates and it allows air to pass through the device to this line, therefore engaging the fan clutch and allowing the fan to spin under engine RPM. So as you go faster, the fan gets faster and it cools the truck down. These are known to leak. Obviously you can tell this one is leaking now. You can rebuild O-rings in them. There is a kit for them. You can put some oil in them, like silicone oil or tool oil or something that's okay for rubber O-rings. I wouldn't put like WD-40 or something in there that has petroleum, because petroleum can eat rubber. So you can try that. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it helps it last for a little longer. We've done all the above to this one. I've rebuilt this once already with new O-rings, and I've put oil in it, silicone oil, and you can tell it's leaking again. So when they leak, they have a little pinhole on the front of the device right here. It leaks it. You can hear it. Right? It's not a hard leak. You can even put your finger over it to stop it pretty much. Right? It's a very, very, very minor leak, but it is an air leak. If you run into this problem, in my experience, these devices fail in the on position. So what does that mean? That means it's open. So as soon as I start the truck, air is coming from your positive feed line through the device to your fan clutch line, engaging the fan. That means your fan will run all the time. It will either eventually start to work again when it gets hot enough and something moves inside and it shuts down because it's not at temperature, or your fan will run all the time. If you run into this issue, it's best to leave it in the failed on position. I know some guys that work on commercial trucks, or other air issues, when you have an air leak, you'll consider just crimping the line off, right? Or just take this off and cap the line, right? Just cap the feed line, then you won't have an air leak anymore. I would extremely advise against that, because then your fan will not run at all. And these engines are known, especially the 250 Cummins, are known to run extremely hot. And with no engine cooling, or with no fan cooling the engine, that could be a risk for disaster, right? That could lead to catastrophic damage to the truck. So if you run into this situation, like I said, there's a kit to rebuild the O-rings. If you want to try that, you can take them apart. You have to take it off the truck to do that. So you need the truck to be empty. You disconnect your air lines. Now, I'm going to replace this one. And generally, when you go to take the Shutterstat out, you do have to, at minimum, take this tube off, because the line for the fan clutch is right next to it. It's really hard to get a wrench down there, and you run a risk of puncturing this coolant line. And there is coolant in here. This runs right to the other side of the radiator. So you have to take this off at minimum. Generally, what I do is I pop these 4 bolts off here, and these bolts go into the block. They are not in the coolant portion, so they're not wet bolts. They are dry. So there's no gasket or anything on these bolts. However, there is a gasket between these two halves. So you can look up NHC 250 thermostat gasket or thermostat kit, and you'll get the gasket between the two halves, the thermostat, and there's also a gasket that goes with the thermostat if you need it. You don't have to do any of that. If you think your stuff's in okay shape, I've taken this apart before and reused what's in here, and it's been fine. Honestly, you'll know it'll start to leak out the bottom if you have an issue with the gasket. But generally, I pop these 4 bolts out, and I'll disconnect this, slide this off. You are going to lose some coolant, and then this entire thing will slide out of the way, and it allows you free access to release this. And then there are, try and get on the camera here, there are some adapters. So this is a compression fitting, and I believe this is National Pipe Thread. So this is an adapter that feeds into the Shutterstat so it can connect to the compression fitting. If you order a new Shutterstat, and I'll show you that, I have it over on the bench, they are slightly different today, at least the one I got from a different vendor. It doesn't come with these adapters. So you either need these adapters or you need to source new adapters. But generally you're good to reuse them. Because it is into liquid and air, I always use Teflon tape and pipe dope. As you can see, I have rebuilt this one before, so that's actually my blue Teflon tape on there. So just a quick video I wanted to make on the Shutterstats, and if you run into an issue where they're leaking, just let them leak like this. This leak will not drain your air tanks when the truck is running. When the compressor is engaged and the truck is running, the compressor outputs more than enough air to compensate for this very minimal leak. When the truck sits, of course, it will eventually deplete the air tanks and you'll run out of air. So in this situation where this is a fire apparatus, unfortunately the truck has a delayed start. It has to sit, build air before it can drive. Not a huge deal though. Like I said though, the very, very, very last thing I would do would look at any way of disabling this, because then your fan won't run. If for whatever reason you had a larger leak or some kind of massive catastrophic failure with this device, I would look for an adapter to tie this line directly to this line, and your fan will run constantly then. But at least your engine is cooled by the fan. That's what we're getting. I would always advise against no engine fan, no cooling fan. So any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can comment on Facebook, or you can reach out to us on, you can comment on YouTube. You can reach out to us on Facebook. Generally, I reply quicker on Facebook if need be. Hopefully this helps. Kind of a brief video I just wanted to make regarding Shutterstats, and if anybody runs into this issue, and kind of what not to do in a God forbid situation. So real quick, let me go show you the other device. Let me get off the truck here. Okay, there'll be a quick splice in that because when I jumped off the truck, I clicked the button by accident. So this is the new one. This is the one they're able to get now, according to the manufacturer I ordered this through. It is slightly different. Your exit valve is still on the bottom. However, your inlet valve is on the front. So I'm gonna have to change one of the adapters, I believe. I'm gonna need to do a 90-degree adapter from National Pipe Thread to compression fitting. But I'll make a video once I get this installed on kind of what I did. Thanks for watching, guys.